Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. I love how you did the fade out from black to colour there. Look at that, eh? Look at that. Just put them back up again, Ray. Let's have a bit of a comparison. Oh, yes. Lessons learned from Lara. Forcing them arms forward. Ladies and gentlemen, the fat lad with you in the mother fluffing house, and it's the fix. What episode is this? 24?
20?
I think it's like 24. My phone's talking to me.
Nice.
I don't know why.
Your phone is
Show number 24 of the
episode
fix. 24 episodes. We just said goodbye to Jordan Davis. You know, when you went to the gents there, Ray was telling me about you. He said, I want to say this when Ray was here. But it was easy.
Sounds like Jordan.
He said. Did he say that, Ryan? Am I lying?
I can't confirm nor deny. I was taking a piss.
Yep, that's what he said. That's what he said. Yeah, but it sounds like he's turning into a handful.
No, he's legit. Proper legit. I've always said it. I've always been the biggest believer in him, but proper legit. I have no doubt. Particularly in supermatch setting. Very adaptive. Yeah,
he's so mate. I've got some questions, and we're going to get into them straight away. And I think this has probably come from a lot of the stuff that Engin's been doing. For those of you who don't follow Engin, on his Engin page on Facebook, and here we go from Adam. Okay, Adam. So he said, guys, love the fix. Wanted to ask you individually, could you tell me who your favourite arm wrestler of all time is? One from your home country and one generally. Both, get this, both male and female.
Whoa.
And why?
Great question.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go. My favourite is John. So we kind of last episode. If you want to know all the reasons why John, just go back to episode 20, whatever it was before this, and all of that. I think it's just hard not to. It's just hard not to. As Engin put it, John is arm wrestling. So John is my favourite arm wrestler to watch, to all that sort of stuff. When it comes to Australia, like there's I guess it's a 2-horse race for me. The great Danny Tesh, the great hope of Australia. Truly a phenomenally gifted inner elbow. Super nice, super humble guy, super just get the job done. You
Super
feel
just
like
creator of planets.
Yeah.
Super
mega,
just
but
the ability to transport across space and time.
Yeah, but I don't like. I have to. That's an honourable mention, but for me, my favourite arm wrestler is Jordan. Just for the way that he moves, I think he's the most complete arm wrestler in Australia. And he's still only in the early phase of his potential. He's only 24. Still a long way to go, and I feel like his frame isn't even filled out yet. So I think out of Australia, he will probably be the best arm wrestler of the decade out of Australia, for sure. Of the next 10 years, Jordan Davis, easy. And then females. Females in Australia, it's pretty tricky because we've only got a handful of them. We've only got a handful of them that have done it. There's a few that are truly committed.
What about if the lady didn't have to be from your country? Remember?
Yeah, if it wasn't from there, I have to go Marlin Kleinsmith. Just love her tenacity, love her attitude, love the way she pulls. And she's a killer chick as well. Super good girl. And meeting, I get to pull in the same card as her at WL 504. That was the first time I'd met Marlin in person. I was already a fan of her. And just watching the way that she approached the match, I really admired that in Marlin. So, And then when I know of Marlin, I know that she's a career arm wrestler. She wants to grow the sport. She wants to be able to be a reason why female arm wrestling becomes more legitimate globally. So yeah, Marlin Kleinsmith for me.
The voice. The Rolly Royce.
Yeah.
The Rolly
The Rolly Royce is the one.
Rolly Royce. Rolly Royce. Ray Rolly Royce.
That's the one. Rolly Royce, mate. The Rolly.
Ray Rolly Royce. Or Ray. Okay. Ray Roro.
Royce, he's sticking. Get a T-shirt, Ryan. Rolly Royce.
I gotta make it. I gotta talk to my design guy. Yeah. I have no choice now. Yeah. So, John, of course, John, my all-time favorite. More you watch him, more you appreciate it. And having a chance to grip up with him, like the first time we gripped up, I'm like, oh, this is what's happening. Like I understand the magic, you know. It's very hard to not understand the magic if you haven't gripped up with John. Females, world, there's so many, you know. I like to watch like really explosive, technical, like female arm wrestlers. Heidi, Sarah, Marlin, Lucia Debranova, Gladka. There's so many because like every I haven't seen the super complete package yet, like we've seen with the John, Gabi, but we have seen dominance, we have seen some good techniques, we have seen a lot of things from all of these females that I talked about. We talk about national, it's Jeanne, favorite female arm wrestler, Jeanne Chingula, of course, she built female arm wrestling here in Latvia, and Giannis, like, I remember
while
2000...
we're talking about top chicks,
not
Giannis Chingula. Gianna Chingula, she is
Giannis.
a great girl. What a lovely girl that is. What a character Gianna Chingula is. Mate.
Oh, yeah.
Love her. Funny as hell.
Yeah.
Just a great person.
Everyone who knows her in arm wrestling community, everyone, when competing Europe, everyone loves her. Everyone always asks, where is Jeanne? Will she come? And, you know, like she was world champion, I guess 2 times or something. Okay. And Giannis, I remember watching when Giannis won his last world championship in WAF. I remember just watching him on stage. It's something different. You know, when you watch someone and like the way they move, and it's not the regular. It's something special. And I think Giannis is that. Giannis is very special. Like how he has created his arm wrestling, his style and everything else. And he like, I wouldn't be sitting here if Giannis wouldn't call me on 2012 and ask me to, maybe I should quit as a powerlifting coach and come as an arm wrestling coach. I was just studying for a bachelor degree, and my studies were as a powerlifting coach, and he said, maybe you can switch it up. And I said, like, the community is great. I was just like this in arm wrestling. And yeah, I wouldn't be here without Giannis. 100%. Yeah. Neil, what about you?
Mate, it's difficult for me because, very like yourself, if I was answering this question 100% honestly, I'm not sure I have an outright favourite. I'm really not. And I'm sort of too much of a arm wrestling nerd to have an outright favourite. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to separate out here personalities. I'm trying to take out personalities and make this purist, you know, arm wrestling. But I'm going to give some honourable mentions here. The guys that are in that, you know, well, I can't really get past the fact of that guy's amazing, how much respect I've got for him. And I'm not going to leave John out of this just because, I mean, do we need to say John? I mean, you know what I mean? John's immense, isn't he? Some guys that people may not know as much about in there. One guy that is absolutely right there in my mind, and always would be, is Svetangaszewski, Bulgaria. Svetangaszewski is a magnificent arm wrestler. in every respect is technical well-roundedness, ability, diversity, attitude. He's like almost a 75-kilo version of John Brzenk. And I'm not kidding. He really is. He's
his
cut
prime,
from a very... Oh, God. And just the attitude, the whole approach to the match, the demeanour is so similar to John in so many ways. He just is cut from a very, very similar cloth. And when you were fortunate enough to spend a lot of time around Svetan and observe what he was capable of doing and his bravery and tenacity in matches, it really was really impressive. I mean, just incredibly impressive arm wrestler in every way. So Svetan's going to come in there. I also kind of like arm wrestlers who are trailblazers and set a signature style. There's something about those guys that I really like as well. Sort of people that are just kind of like originators or so unique. You know, like a singer. Like if you just switched on the radio, and you can get amazing singers, and you'd say, oh, okay, this singer, holy shit, that singer's as good as it gets. They can do everything, the range of, everything's great, magnificent vocalist. But then you get that other singer who might even not be as good. But, you switch on the radio and nobody has to say, oh, that's Bono. It's fucking Bono. There's nobody else sounds like that. You know what I mean? It's just that person. Annie Lennox is a great example of it. I used to put, Annie Lennox comes on, it's Annie Lennox, like immediately. It's just got that signature style. And there's something cool in that. And the guys that fall into that category for me, for a start, right off the bat, Andrew Cobra Rhodes. When I was a kid, I'm talking like 13 years old, Andrew Cobra Rhodes, I think, was the first superstar arm wrestler, even before John, on a global scale. I'm not talking about North America, I'm talking about global superstar. And he was certainly the first that I ever encountered for real. And I will never forget that experience. I'll never forget looking at Andrew Rhodes and thinking, that dude is cool as hell. Just everything about him. His absolute, just his gusting self-confidence and aura that came off him, He was just ridiculous. What the swagger he had at the table, the attitude he had at the table, and the way that he backed it up, the fact that he was so stylistically unique at that time, even within the whole genre of top roll, nobody top roll like Rhodes. And just a nice, approachable person. When I was a kid, he'd talk to you. He was like untouchable, but very touchable. You know what I mean? And that was amazing. I really like that. Another guy that falls into a similar category to that would be Laurent Villar. Now, many people might not know Laurent Villar. Laurent Villar was a 50 to 55 kilo puller, world champion from Spain. Diminutive character, not a loud, brash individual, a million miles away from Cobra in terms of his approach and demeanour and things like that. But what an impressive puller. What a fabulous little arm wrestler that was and is. And as I said at the start that, it was around signature arm wrestlers, torch bearers, people who had those attributes, the bravery and charisma at the table. And Lorenzo Villar definitely had that. He was a real unique individual with not great gifts, not great levers, just a fantastic puller. And had wins against people like Engin Terzi, just a killer. And if you speak to Engin, I'm sure Engin would endorse the fact that Lorenzo was a bad man. And that takes me on to the next one. Engin Terzi is a fucking savage. Let me tell you now. That dude, in the annals of arm wrestling history, there has never been and will never be another Engin Terzi. That man is the most obsessed arm wrestler, and I mean obsessed arm wrestler that has ever drawn breath. He is 101 arm wrestling to the core. You cut him, he will bleed arm wrestling. His achievements, accomplishments, focus, dedication in the pursuit of arm wrestling is over and above anybody I have ever encountered. He is.
Do you know what? What is his goal? What does he want? He loves it so much still. What drives him? You know.
I think he's nuts and he's obsessive compulsive. He's a bit like the Michael Todd. I mean, what I love about Engin is I can roll into an arm wrestling competition in friggin' Ukraine or Tbilisi or some far-flung part of the world, and I can get in there, and I've been flying for 31 hours and I'm knackered and I want to go to bed, and I'll catch Engin's eye across the reception and he's sat there, and you know he's going to be sat there at like 2 a.m. because he's not going to bed if there's somebody talking about arm wrestling. And I could go over and sit down. I haven't seen him in a year, and bang, we're off. And we're talking about arm wrestling. We'll talk about arm wrestling for 3 hours straight. And he's informative and he's interesting and he's on, he's on every single topic.
Mm.
And he can't get enough. He could bathe in the ashes of arm wrestling and he would never be wet enough. You know what I mean? He just loves it. And there's something in that that's cool. And there's something in that pursuit of acknowledgement that's quite cool.
Mm.
He will never stop, and never stop loving it.
What about Devon Larratt? I feel like Devon Larratt.
How did you know that's where I was going next?
Yeah, ultra spiritual.
Hey, forget ultra spiritual. Devon Larratt almost feels like I've been involved in the journey from early on, in the professional Devon Larratt. From the first time I met Devon Larratt, I thought to myself, this kid is not right. He's different in every way, and he is different. He's just got an aura about him, a uniqueness about him, a completeness about him. Again, that diversity, attitudinally. I've even tried to steer Devon a couple of times on things, and I think the world of Devon. I've tried to steer him on things, and sometimes our sort of relationship's been tried probably as a result of that, because I think it's hard for anyone not to take something you say as a criticism, and actually it couldn't be further from the truth. There's very little to criticise, but I've always wanted to try and polish what is already a diamond. You know what I mean? When I don't get, I guess he ain't hearing that a great deal as well. So that was really the bulk of that one. But Devon is fucking ace. Devon can really, really, really pull, and is a fantastic arm wrestler in every respect. But there are so many. There are guys that when I get into this, it's one of the most open questions for me that I could possibly have. And there's so many guys that I'd like to slip in there and say, but what about that guy? And what about that guy? And they're guys that have got... I like guys like... another one I'm going to mention here is Jerry Cadorette.
Trailblazer.
Right? Yeah. Trailblazer. And you talk about longevity. But you stop and take a breath for a moment and you think to yourself, wait a minute, what's this criteria that we're looking at? Okay. Yeah, how long's he been really good? Jerry Cadorette is really, 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 really good. We talk about John Brzenk, we talk about all these exceptional, legendary arm wrestlers. Not many of them can run over Jerry Cadorette. And Jerry Cadorette's been doing it a very long period of time, and is extremely good at what he does. Extremely good at what he does. And he's one of those guys that, whilst he's always been in the conversation, doesn't necessarily always attract the love and the respect and the admiration that he probably should. He's a little bit like another guy I've mentioned there, Michael Todd, in that respect, because Michael's hated by a lot of people, and he's quirk, Michael's got a quirk. There's no doubt about it. You either love that or hate it. I personally love it. He's like my little brother. But Michael Todd is the closest thing to Engin that we've got in terms of that obsession level of, he's on the books, he's always there, and he can't stop, and he won't stop, and he's obsessed with winning. And that's a guy that is a frigging beast as well. Absolute beast. Really, really difficult to get around the fact that he's just hard work. So, those are guys, and I could go on and on. I was fascinated recently by Richard Lutkus again. Sort of had a bit of a reawakening to how friggin' awesome Richard Lutkus was, and has been. Because in a time when arm wrestling's evolved so much, and there are so many tools and things to assist people in arm wrestling to make them better, Richard Lutkus didn't really pay attention to any of them, and just was still arguably the very best and most effective arm wrestler in history. He was certainly there or thereabouts when you look at the accomplishments, and yet in such an understated manner, and that's amazing. And on the other side of the coin, if you were going down the route where you're putting personalities in there as well, and you just think about people who you just think are ace, I absolutely love Jeff Hale.
I knew you were going to say Jeff. I knew it.
Mate, Jeff's a great bloke. Yeah. I mean, he's not got any tools. He's got no weapons. He's got a little dinky-ass short arm. I mean, if I want to get my cereal off the top shelf, I am not asking Jeff. He's not like gifted with the most leverage in the world, but what a top guy. What an absolute blinding bloke. Talk about misunderstood. But I'll tell you this, Jeff Hale's a tremendous arm wrestler. And he's a thinking arm wrestler. And he's a diverse arm wrestler. Explosive, brave, go through the range of motions in a match. He's got so many boxes ticked, and I love that. People who are brave at the table will go through the gears.
Stay healthy,
COVID.
Stay healthy, man.
Yeah.
Right there, hey?
So next week, me and Neil, we just still gonna do the show.
Yeah, I mean we're off. I never talked about women, right? On this one, I do have a favourite all-time female arm wrestler, and it's my sister. And just because I'm biased as hell, and my sister was remarkable. Came into the sport of arm wrestling, was in there a couple of years, won world titles, kicked out of everything that moved. And when you bear in mind that my sister was in there for literally a couple of years, she's Richard Lutkus. When I say never trained, I mean never trained. Like, didn't train. And I was like, and then we go to competition and Elaine would win. And I'd be like, holy shit, she won. And then we'd go to another competition and Elaine would win. And it happened to be the Europeans. And then we'd go to another competition and Elaine would be second and it was the Worlds. And then we'd go the year after and she'd win. And it was the Worlds. And I'm like, what the And you might say, oh yeah, against nobody. Yeah, okay. She beat Heidi Anderson. Marlin. Thea. Beat them all. Fact.
Wow.
And she didn't train. And to me, that was cool as fuck. I was just like, that should. And then she was like, okay, had enough of arm wrestling now. Gonna have a baby. See ya. Wow. And it goes. That's that. And just that whole drop the mic and leave thing is pretty awesome.
That's cool. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. That is cool. That's seriously cool.
Ridiculous. Just came in, cleaned up, buggered off. Brilliant. Now, if you take that out of the equation, Marlin. I love Marlin Kleinsmith. Marlin Kleinsmith's just ace. She's just a fabulous personality. She's just, a lot of real respect for Marlin. One of my closest female friends in the sport by a mile. Great arm wrestler. If we're getting into the upper echelons of who I think's incredible in female arm wrestlers, I'm going to mention some lesser known names as well. Victoria Ilyushina. Let me tell you now, badass. Always there or thereabouts. Victoria Ilyushina, incredible. Gabby Vasconcelos, everybody knows, but Gabby Vasconcelos is that sat in the, almost like a trailblazer from Brazil.
Gabby Vasconcelos messaged me the other day telling me that she's putting an effort into ramping up a YouTube channel. So go and check out Gabby Vasconcelos on YouTube.
Get over to Gabby Vasconcelos. What a top girl. The Iron Angel. She's ace. And, mate, what do you want to say? In the ladies class, there are so many unsung heroes. I mean, they don't get really a mention anyway, like they should, you know. And I mean, so many great female arm wrestlers that don't really get that much. You know, you can talk about Heidi Anderson, what she accomplished. Amazing arm wrestler.
What about is it Ellen Janheim winning Europe when she was 12?
Daft.
That's crazy.
You know, but here's one. What about Irena Machiavelli? Because I'll tell you this, right? We talk about John again. We talk about all the dominant. Irena Machiavelli is arguably the most dominant pound for pound female arm wrestler in the history of the sport. I'm very, very surprised if that isn't the case. She's certainly the best I've ever seen in that respect. And Irena Machiavelli is very, very little known. Very few people. I mean, you go to North America and say Irena Machiavelli, and they're like, oh, Machiavelli, yeah, but do I know her? Not sure. Don't really know anything about her. That's a shame.
Yeah.
Because she was just ridiculous level. Truly phenomenal female puller. You know, who gets no focus, no spotlight, no attention. You got to take your hat off. You know, she's iron. Absolutely iron.
She's one of the people that I don't know the stats on. I couldn't tell you much about it, but I have been in the presence of her countrymen and I know from meeting her brother and all that she is the ultimate. And I've heard Marlin talk about her, and I've heard Fia talk about her. But you are right that I don't know. I don't know. The sport hasn't presented Irena's story particularly well. And I don't know whose fault that is. The sport's still growing, all that sort of stuff. Female arm wrestling in general, not getting the same degree of spotlight. But yeah, but I do know that she's the killer. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that you've made those comments.
And you know, people will talk about Heidi, and Heidi was great. But with all due respect to Heidi, she wasn't Irena Machiavelli. You know, Machiavelli was that, I can go from this weight class and I can leather anyone at any weight. She was that girl. You know, so massive amount of respect for her. Feel a bit ashamed and sorry that Irena Machiavelli hasn't had that kind of spotlight. Girl I'd love to have on the show, messaged her. I'm sure she's going to come on. Speaks great English as well. You know, so she'll be able to, I'd rather her tell her story and her tell about her career. But she's a very understated girl. She's not the type of girl that's going to go, you know, and have the world sort of rejoicing her. She's just, she gets up there, she arm wrestles, she does what she does. A little bit like Gabby Vasconcelos, really, you know. She's just does it. Little cheer, little clap, off she goes. But I'd love to see those girls get more attention, more spotlight, and for people to appreciate. It's nice actually that Sarah does what she does, you know, because Sarah is she's that ambassador figure, isn't she? She's Devon, you know. She's got all the attributes that go to lend herself to that. She's confident, she's articulate, she's charismatic, she's beautiful. She's got all those things that go to lend herself to being, I can tell you about female arm wrestling, and she will fearlessly go and crack dudes. You know, she'll pull in a 165-pound male category, and you better hang on, you know, and that's good in many ways, just because of the fact that it's that like flag in the sand, isn't it? That people realise, wow, actually, you know, these guys are serious. They're no joke. And a normal gym strong man goes and arm wrestles a Marlin, a Sarah. They're going to get battered. Yeah. You know, absolutely murdered. And whilst I don't endorse that, what I would say is that it does, in a world that's not really aware of the technical aspects of the sport of arm wrestling at any level, it's a great way of sort of signal flaring that, isn't it?
Yeah.
You get a girl like Sarah who can talk all day and goes out and just cracks everybody, and it goes viral, and it's like, who the hell is that girl? And she looks like she's a friggin' goddess. I mean, she is. When Sarah shows up in shape, she is like she's a physical specimen, isn't she?
Yeah.
I mean, she looks powerful. If you were gonna cast Wonder Woman, that's the kind of look. She's just the absolute.
Yeah, then she doesn't need any CGI enhancements. She is the way.
She is an absolute beast, and she, like I say, she's got it all. She's charismatic, she's funny, she's got it all. So it's nice that she's spotlighting things, and I hope that it was nice to see the World Arm Wrestling League match that I made between Sarah and Gabby get so much of a buzz. That was ace. I really liked that. And I liked that Thea and Marlin, whilst I didn't like that match too much, just because of Thea and Marlin. I love them both, and the teammates, effectively, and best friends. I would have preferred, and we had gone far and made the match between Irina Gladkaya and Marlin. It didn't come about the first time. We remade that match, and coronavirus kicked us in the hick. So that, it's a shame that is the case, but that is the case twice over. We also had other top class females that were right there on the fringe. I want to hesitate before spitting too many names out, but Ekaterina Afanina, or Ekaterina Larina, that was. And for those of you who don't know, for you guys, Ray, do you know Ekaterina Afanina?
I know Afanina. Yes.
Mate. What a beast. I mean, wow. What a beast.
There's a lot of, if you go to the Worlds and Europeans, and when you watch women classes, you can sit with Engin and, ask about the champions, and they will say how dominant they were for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. There's so many of them, and they don't get the spotlight. It's still kind of men's game, but I think it's slowly changing, and we need to talk about this. Women have pure talents, like the beast, and the competition is very, very fierce. Engin posted Esra Kiras from Turkey.
I mean, Christ on a bike.
Yeah, and she had amazing matches with Snezhana and Reshetnikov. Those 3 girls in the same class, it's a fire, and consistently each year.
It's almost that venom level, that intensity level's up at the top of the dial, isn't it?
Yes.
You can't look away. If you go to those tournaments, you are literally like, whoa, it's going off.
It's not like you're just like, so there's women 50 kilos and you're like, I don't care, no, you sit there, you watch, you're like, what's gonna happen? Because there's so many great matches, and if you look back at women's class, sometimes like everywhere, it can be, boring. It can be. There's a lot of men's classes where it's just like one guy dominating and everyone's just like fast man. Sometimes it's fireworks. So,
But I think it's a duty there to sort of raise the profile of the characters in there as well, because it's like anything else. If you don't know the guys, and you're not, you don't have any
involvement, emotional involvement.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. If you don't have any sort of emotional attachment to the arm wrestler, of course it's not as interesting. But when you do identify those characters, you're sort of preemptively psyching yourself up for it. It's like, men's 85's coming on, and I know that this guy's in there, this guy's in there, this guy's in there. And you sort of, night before, you're speaking to people, or you see the stuff online, and everybody's bubbling because they're waiting for that clash, and we start talking about the technical nuances and the aspects around that, and it breeds it. That doesn't happen with the ladies, and it kind of pisses me off a little bit, because it's not like they're not there. You know what I mean? There's some characters there now. And once they're there, I think they should get spotlighted a little bit. And, could you imagine if you did a female middleweight top 8? You could have an absolute banger.
Yeah.
55.
You know, I'm sure it was in the development. I'm sure it was.
Yes.
It wasn't COVID. I'm sure it was coming.
Well, we were talking about it in World Armwrestling League. We were talking about the lady, you know, doing a ladies' flying, which you'd have, you know, like you say. It's a shame that the sport isn't as prominent in North America as the men's. There's pullers there, but not that depth of talent that it is that you do see from the top European nations. I mean, and the other thing that I get a bit frustrated at is, and I think I mentioned it the other day, you know, like in North America, there's a misconception that it's just the Swedish girls that are untouchable and on their own. Nah. There are your Western European superpower female arm wrestling, and they are elite level and world class. But are there other girls from Europe that can touch the Swedes? Hell yes. Okay. You know, Russia, Ukraine, right there. You know. So anyway, rant over. But
that was the longest answer to a message in question we've done.
Ever.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't bore people too much by that, but I was getting carried away. I sometimes, you know, I think that guys like, Marcio Barboza, who talks about Marcio Barboza as being that good? Marcio Barboza is that good.
Yeah.
He really is. Yeah. You know, he's that good. He's a friggin' beast. Stoyan Gulamanov, does everybody go talking about Stoyan Gulamanov being that good? Stoyan Gulamanov is that good.
It's you know, I don't know how we can fix this, because, you know, people see what they see. Like, everyone sees, like the hottest topics for the past 2 months were Vrej and Vlad. And they're like, oh my god, they should arm wrestle. They're close to the same way. They have arm wrestle. Vlad has won, you know, I think 4 years ago. They can do it again, no problem. But they're forgetting that if you go to Worlds or Europeans, and I will say, like, I think Europeans are harder than Worlds because everyone's stuck together. And there's so many killers that you don't even understand. And especially these fans, like, they're like, oh, they see one video of one guy beating this class. And you look back at the results and he got 13 in Europeans. You're like, what? Next year, 8? You're like, how? They have no idea. You guys know. I know. Yeah. But most of the people don't really understand. And they live.
How do we do that? And, attention.
Character expose.
Attention is the commodity that we're lacking. It's not time. It's not effort. It's not talent. It's not anything. It's just consistent attention. At the moment, our attention comes in random hits from different places.
Oh yeah.
We don't have a consistent bulk of attention that the world sees. So. There's so many. The thing is, I mean, I've been in the sport only 7 years, and I've seen. In the 7.5 years I've been in there, I see more consistent content from more arm wrestlers, from more sources, from more leagues, there's more of everything now. The world is seeing more arm wrestling now than 7 years ago, undoubtedly, for me. Yeah. So I think we're getting there.
But, like, right now what we know is usually we know the WL guys, and, like, some of those guys, like, I'm sorry, in my opinion, they're not top 20 in the world. But we know about them. We hear about them all the time. And we see Paul guys. I have talked about this when we have WAF Congress. They're like, I know you have every year, you have new champions. You don't talk about these champions. You don't show the world the champions. The competition door closes, everyone's out, and it goes. And then you think it's going to free flow. But if you talk about these champions, you know, there's more interest to WAF Worlds. Because a lot of people don't understand the level of WAF Worlds. Like, yes, Lottie Tour is hard, but WAF Worlds is just as hard, you know?
I've said that for years. WAF Worlds rock. Oh.
And Europeans are right there. It's 3 competitions that, in my opinion, are the pinnacle of toughness in the sport. You cannot take away, and they don't understand it because they don't talk about these athletes. I have talked about this, but I don't know. Maybe they will listen to someone else, not me. You know, what do I know? I'm just a YouTube guy.
There's not the pageantry about it, is there? Let's be honest. I mean, sometimes with the WAF Worlds, they're a victim of their own success or their own planning in some respects, because now you've that many classes. I mean, you've Masters, Grandmasters, Masters, Dad's Master. There's so many masters classes,
Okay,
so many.
everyone should have a chance. That's cool. But seniors,
cool.
seniors should be the ones that you should be pushing. Pushing.
So the World Championships is the World Championships, and by having so much, when the seniors classes come out, they should be. That's the what. Those
something
are the blue
different.
ribbon
Something
classes.
different.
It should be
something different.
Denoted that this is the real world. Now, and I'm not saying the masters ain't. I'm not trying to knock people.
No,
it's just
but
the spotlight. Who's the man really? It's not the if you've gone to the Masters, you've gone to the Masters, you won it. But really, you're in the Masters. It's not really the same. Yeah. You go to the seniors, you're the kiddie, and you should be.
If you're a fan, you will come to watch the seniors. You don't go there to watch Masters. If you're not, again, emotionally evolved in some athlete or some country, you're gonna sit there and I want to see 90 kilo Prudnik going against Tino and Sasha.
I mean, so you and I, the three of us, we're all YouTube guys. We see and we believe the stories and how much that adds value. So something like you're a month out from WAF Worlds. WAF Worlds needs on their YouTube channel a panel like this that tells the story of the senior division coming up, builds the hype about who's going to be there. They have guests on who debate who's going to win it. Like. Yeah. You can always take the model of any sport that's been successful, and what do they do when Wimbledon's coming up? You hear people starting to talk about who's going to win Wimbledon, what form Roger Federer's in, what form Novak Djokovic's in, whatever. Same sort of stuff.
Yeah.
A WAP dedicated channel.
It's almost like a countdown element, isn't it? Yeah. Like leading up to it. So you're spotlighting the men and the women most likely to be in the mix. And you're giving some insight on them, the lead up. And
fans are excited. Fans are excited to see. Yeah. If how it unfolds, so
yeah. When we started we did the Voice of Arm Wrestling podcast with Giannis, and we're not doing it for a year and a half now. But when we started, every time World Europeans come up, we would do a hype, and no one cared. There's so many people that cared, just in the hand, no one really cared because they don't know. And then they will see one guy, Bresh, goes to the USA, and he's WAF world champion that year, and they're like, super impressive, and he starts dominating, and everyone thinks like he's the absolute man. you know, but he is, but there's a lot more. There's a lot like any of these arm wrestlers like the talk, and they say like, I'm close to that level. Get those Canadians and throw them in Ukrainian nationals or Russian nationals. See how that goes.
Oh my God, it's a wake up. You can go and pull tournaments in Russia, and the level, the depth of talent over there. What an eye opener that is.
A bucket list thing for me to do is to go and pull a local tournament in Russia. I want to do it.
If you get one of the decent shows in Russia, mate, I'll tell you what, eye-opening experience.
No, I seriously do. I want to go in there. I want to go in there and not know anyone's name and just go like, "Holy shit, round one, who was that dude?"
Where'd he come from? And then you guys, you do go, oh yeah, he's and there's 10 of them in your class, and you're like, what the? You've gone to the world, and you come back, and you think you're the big cheese. You get over there, and you get pulled out your socks in round one by some 17-year-old kid that you did, it's ace. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. I did say what I do. I've been dreaming that for years. So
it's quality. It's an absolute. Couldn't recommend it highly enough. Great, those international competitions in some of those mecca of arm wrestling countries. I mean, Turkey's another one. Fuller. You go on holiday at Turkey, get on the seafront, you go into Antalya, get a table, put it down. You see how many dudes come up there who can pull. I'll tell you what, I've gone over there and got a couple of shandies in me and just start arm wrestling in a bar. And I'll tell you what, I have had some good fun with the Turks because they come out of woodwork. You go to another bar and and they'll be on it. And they know arm wrestlers. They'll come up and they go, oh yeah, I know you. Yeah. And they're like, it's on, motherfucker. Before you know it, everybody's arm wrestling. Fucking barmaid jumped over the bar and she's on it. Everybody's on it. They're all arm wrestling nutters. Magic.
Yeah. There is that part of the sport, and I had a taste of it just the other day when I went down to the Gold Coast, and rather than arm wrestle in a clinical, dry environment, training like I always do.
That's the place you lost 3 matches. You got pinned 3 times.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 matches.
Shockingly. And it was, there was beer involved, there was music involved, it was just fun and relaxing on the beach, and seeing people that weren't arm wrestlers come out of the woodworks, and arm wrestle was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. And
you made the story with the woman.
Yeah.
You how to, I'm like, there's always one, at least one. They're like, no, you just like this, and then you put your arms together.
I was literally holding her beer too. She literally gave me her beer to then teach me how to arm wrestle properly. It was great.
Absolute class.
That to me, that's like the life that Devin Larratt lives right now. Is just travels, meets great people, arm wrestles, has fun. It's a cool way to live.
Yeah, it is indeed. It is indeed. If you know, nice work if you can get it, Ryan Bowen.
Yeah, on the track. If the Australian government would let me leave, I'd be doing that right now.
Yeah, you'd already be on it. You'd be on tour of Australia if it hadn't broke out over there. You'd be away, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, every state border is locked, so I can't do shit right now.
But you can travel inside?
No, I can't get out of my state.
I didn't know that.
All off. Everything.
I thought you canceled everything.
We have, right. We have a state, Northern Territory, about 2 weeks ago, declared an 18-month border closure to all other states of Australia. 18 months with the big finger. You're like, serious? What the hell? So, no, I have no idea when it all stops being crazy here. Thankfully,
I've just realised something as well. We're at 46 minutes. We're about to close the show, and I didn't do the guy from my country.
Okay.
I didn't do it, did I?
No.
Sir Thomas Holland.
Sir Thomas Holland.
Sir Thomas Holland, Esquire. Love Tom Holland. Tom Holland, Tom Holland, I used to go around when I was at Loughborough University. When he was a baby. Tom Holland was a mute when he was a kid. He didn't say a goddamn... Well, they always said he's a quiet one, so you're going to watch. And Tom didn't say a ball. You'd go around, he'd come, and he'd sit at the side of me, and he'd always have some little toy that he brought that we were playing with. That was it. He's like, right, that's it. It could be a plane, or it could be... He had this elephant, and this fucking little thing was hard as hell. Little elephant, right, that he had. It was like an elephant stroke woolly mammoth thing. And I'd be like watching some stuff on the TV with his dad, and suddenly Tom would come and he'd sit at the side of you, and he wouldn't say nothing, just look at you. And he'd be like, all right, we're playing with the elephant. And I'd have some other, animal who was clearly going to get stomped by the elephant. And he'd just get the elephant, and he'd be dead quiet, and he'd, doing his thing with the elephant, and then he'd look away for a minute, and he'd stomp us. And, like something like that hits your knuckles, like kids' toys. That's rock hard, and he goes, aggressively beat the shit.
Oh, that's cool.
So you'd be like, and he'd do it on the back of your head anywhere. But Tom was surrounded by arm wrestling, immersed in arm wrestling with his mum and dad. And, he's been obsessed all his life, and it's great to see what a tremendous arm wrestler that lad is now. And I couldn't be more proud of him and wish him more success. And he's the guy from the UK that I believe there's some other great arm wrestlers coming up, but he's the guy that really has it all in that respect from an arm wrestling perspective. And I'm very proud of Tom Holland. I think he's a great puller. Really is. So that sort of caps that off. We're at 48 minutes as well, guys. 48 minutes. So go on, make your point there, mate, and we'll.
Oh, I was going to say I've always loved watching Tom Holland pull. I love technical pullers. And to me, he's a really technical puller. His tool sets lend themselves to putting the squeeze on people, and I love that. And he does it well. I love seeing someone who physically you don't think is going to be as strong as the guy on the other side of the table. The other guy might look bigger, better, stronger, faster, and then the brakes come on, and then it's like, oh shit, what am I up against? And Tom does that incredibly well.
Yeah, he's a homegrown rock. And, does a great job. And he's only warming up yet. He's only warming up yet. There's much more to come from Tom Holland. Conscious of time, guys. Approaching the 50-minute mark. Probably time to wrap this episode up of The Fix. I think it was episode 24. Up go the arms. And you can see them there. A little bit of comparison, lighting issues at Ray's end there with that blurred background. But, ladies and gents, if this is your first visit to Supernatural Strength, then please like, share, subscribe. I want to say a massive thanks to our residents here on the show. First of all, the Rolly Royce.
Right.
The Rolly Royce of arm wrestling. Mate, where can people go find more?
No. That's enough.
But joking aside, we started this whole couple of episodes with Ray's expose on John. Check that out. Get yourself over to Voice of Arm Wrestling and check it out. Absolutely fantastic piece of work on the GOAT by Ray. My other resident guest, obviously, Ryan Blue Bowen. All things down under, and he would be out there globe-trotting if Australia wasn't like the global pandemic.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a big prison. It is.
Right now, it is. It's like we've gone back in time. We're convicts again. We've been sent down here and been told to stay there.
Yeah, it sucks. But hopefully, we can get on top of this thing by Christmas and we can hit 2021 with some decent arm wrestling shows. Ladies and gents, we will see you back here on The Fix very soon. In the meantime, hope you and your families are safe and well, and